Hey guys, I'm back here again. Today's Sunday around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I thought I'd do a quick video about one of my rifles up here today. And the reason I was making this video was because I just want to let people know that if you do have an A2 lower, you can swap out your weights in the actual buffer assembly back here as well too, guys. Because typically these buffers have about like a 5.0 to 5.2 mass or overall weight for the actual buffer assembly. And my what I'll call my PSA 20-inch upper right here. This is the premium upper from Pawn Mill Stair Armory. This one is a bit over gas to say the least right there for that. And I was getting typical ejection patterns between like 2 and 230 on most times up here. And you can slow the bolt carrier down by adding more mass to your actual buffer right here. What you can do is, what I did specifically was I put the Super 42 geissele spring in here specifically for that, the first thing I did. And that seemed to help a little bit right there. And the second thing I did was take the buffer assembly apart. And what you can do is you take the whole thing apart, you pull all weights out and little rubber pads they have inside there as well too. And what I did was they have a aluminum I'm gonna call spacer in the back right here. I took that spacer out and in place of the spacer I put one steel weight. So there's all steel weights in the back, and I also put one tungsten weight up front. And I also had one of my vltor A5 called buffer spring sitting around, so I put the buffer spring because vltor A5s they have a proprietary buffer system on their units out there, and you have like a little spring tensioner that applies tension to your buffer weights inside here. And what it does is it basically keeps all the little weights inside from bouncing around there, because typically if you don't have any weights down inside your buffer this thing's going shh. You can hear the weights bouncing around down inside here. Well, now this thing has no sound at all, so all the buffers, all the buffer called weights in there, the little cylinder shaped weights in there, they're all perfectly tight in there. So now it's perfectly tight down inside for that. So those are some upgrades you can actually do to your gun right there for that, if you want to possibly upgrade your gun. If the gun is over gas like the one I have right here, even though I even put a new extractor in there, I put new gas rings in the actual bolt, itself as well too in there. It didn't help at all out there. So typically I recommend replacing the called the extractor and also the gas rings on the PSA bolts out there for that, because typically most of the time they might use cheap gas rings out there and cheap extractors as well too. So I recommend doing that first and foremost anytime you get a bolt from PSA out there for that. Just try to minimize it by just replacing an extractor with like a BCM or a JP Rifles one, and also get some good rings. I recommend getting the BCM gas rings, because I got about I think about like a 6-pack of those ones in my actual range bag. So it's always a good idea to keep a spare set of gas rings, because you don't know what kind of gas rings they put in those things out there for that. So it's always a good idea to have a backup and also install them in the bolt carrier before you actually use it the first time. So getting back to the buffer over here, you can help the gun cycle a bit better out there and have a more call a better ejection pattern, where like between like 3 and 4 o'clock, by simply installing a buffer spring like I have right here, the Super 42 buffer spring from geissele. And you can also add additional weights to your buffer right here as well too. But like I said before, I took them all out. I took the spacer out, and in place of the spacer we have one steel weight and one tungsten weight in the back. And we also have the vltor A5 buffer spring in the back here. The buffer spring fits between this clear buffer tab in the back right here and the actual last weight. So what it does is it puts tension on all of the weights inside of the buffer, so it keeps them nice and tight, so they're not going to be bouncing around, because typically your weights will be bouncing around back and forth, maybe about like a quarter of an inch. You can hear them rattling around there, and what the spring does is it keeps them nice and tight, so you have solid mass going back and forth in there with the bolt carrier to cycle the bolt carrier group, so you don't have any kind of a bolt bounce or any kind of problems like that specifically for that, guys. So if anybody has any comments, questions, whatnot, feel free to drop me a message here. And this has been a quick video about detailing for like upgrading your buffer system on your A2 style lower attached to your 20-inch upper as we have right here. So this is the PSA 20-inch upper. Got the area precision A2 low right here, and the rifle length gas or rifle length buffer system right here as well too, guys. So I'll see you and have a nice day.